Okay, we are live on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay, so the benefits of having it here is that it will be recorded. So while people are still navigating and finding the links, they won't miss anything you've said, and they can always go back and rewind. We probably should have started here first. Now I'm thinking. Okay, so yeah, I lost you when you just started clarifying. Could you perhaps start from over? So the question, if I recall, was CFPs being tied, and you wanted to clarify the difference between a tied agent and an independent one.
Yes. So let's recap that. When you are considered a tied agent, it means that you are linked to a specific product supplier, specific company. And you guys all know the companies, the green and the blue and the red companies. And if you are a tied agent, you are then only allowed to or accredited to advise on that company's products. If you are independent, it means that you're not tied to any particular company, and it means that you are then free to advise on any company's product, again, provided that you are accredited to do so. I also mentioned that sometimes being independent in some instances doesn't really mean independence, because you may find that some independent advisors do the vast majority of their business with one particular product supplier anyway. And then the question is then asked, is that true independence or not? So if you are tied, you are only accredited to advise on that particular company's products. And if you're independent, you can advise on any other company's products for which you are accredited. The other part of your question is, are CFPs usually tied or are they independent? And that is, they can be either. They, as long as you satisfy the qualification criteria of being a CFP, you can be an independent advisor or tied to a particular company, and there's no right or wrong, because the CFP is merely the designation.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. In your previous comments, you mentioned, or you were elaborating the two proposals that the board basically has, and one of them was a designation of a product supplier. I'm not sure what. Can you
Yeah.
just remind me the term you used to?
Yes, yes. PSA, so a product supplier agent.
Oh, okay. So like in this instance, where those lines are still blurred, how can one basically, in the most basic way, if possible, identify if they're speaking to a PSA or a financial advisor?
Okay, so again, a PSA can be and is a financial advisor.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the, what you're really asking is, how can you determine whether the person that you're engaging with is linked to just one product house, or is independent? And I suppose you can gather that by simply asking. You can ask it directly, or you can ask it in a number of ways. And some of the questions that you may want to ask your advisor is whether they are allowed to advise or whether they are accredited to advise on a variety of products, a variety of scenarios, and a variety of companies. It's important to ask that question because you also find that some advisors may be specialist in a particular area and may not be accredited to and may not have the necessary skill and technical expertise to advise in other areas. So it's important to uncover that. So to know whether the advisor is allowed to and accredited to advise on a variety of products and companies or just a particular product supplier. And that'll pretty much give you the answer as to whether the person is linked to a particular company. In other words, whether the person is tied or not. Some of the other questions that you may also want to ask is whether your advisor can prepare a financial plan for you without proposing a product. Because if the advisor can do that, then it may also mean that the advisor is independent, because you'll find that if they are tied to a particular product house, then part of why they are linked to that product house or why they are, in inverted commas, employed there is to sell that company's products. And you can then delve a little bit deeper by asking how the advisor is incentivized, because that'll give you a very clear indication as to whether the advisor is linked to a particular product house and how the advisor makes his or her money. Because one must remember that the big FSPs are in fact sales engines. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing secret about it. They would say it openly that the advisor forces are their sales engines. And those advisors are incentivized by way of either commissions or by way of product volumes. So in other words, the number of a particular product or products that they sell. Or they could be incentivized by way of measuring their premium income. So in other words, how much of premium do they bring into the company? And if they are incentivized that way, then you know that the advisor is there to sell a product. And like I said, there's nothing bad about it as long as it's declared. There's nothing secret about it because that's what they do. They represent a particular company and they're there to sell that particular company's product. But for me, the issue is about disclosure and whether you as the client are aware that that is who you are engaging with.
Okay, that's very, very informative. I'm just thinking in the back of my mind that a tied agent would basically have better access to the market in terms of getting their name out there through the company. If a client wants a financial advisor from Company Green, they would just have to contact the entire institution, and someone would automatically get assigned to them as an agent or an advisor that would assist them. How would one, if they wanted someone independent that doesn't have that marketing power that the financial services company provides, how would one locate an independent advisor?
Okay, so there are a number of ways that you can find an independent advisor. And I think I must stress that being independent or being tied doesn't mean that you are good or bad as an advisor. It quite simply just shows how you are employed, in inverted commas. And I say in inverted commas because tied advisors are usually independent contractors of that particular company. But like I said, I need to emphasize that if you are a tied advisor, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Or if you are an independent advisor, doesn't mean it's a good thing. It just means that you are operating differently. But to find an advisor, and if it's an independent advisor that you want, the best way to do it is to get a recommendation, is to ask around, and then also once you engage with the advisor, not to settle on the very first advisor that you engage with. Well, well and good if you get along with the advisor immediately and you are happy with their credentials and you're happy with the recommendation that you've received, then fine. But by all means, interview advisors. Make sure that it's somebody that you can relate to, and make sure that it's somebody that you are happy that can deal with what it is your needs are. The other way of finding an advisor is by going via the Financial Planning Institute. They have a search facility on their website, and they are able to give you access to advisors that way. The nice thing about going via the Financial Planning Institute is that you know then that the advisor is a member of the Financial Planning Institute, and they have to
Sorry,
satisfy
Gav.
certain.
There seems
Yes.
to be some noise, some interruptions, and we lost you for a moment there.
Okay. Am I clear now?
Yes, you
I
are.
don't know what could have happened.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I was just saying that you can go via the Financial Planning Institute's website and search for an advisor there, because the beauty is then that you know that the advisor is a member of the Financial Planning Institute and satisfies certain criteria with regards to especially ethics and standards. So that's another way of finding a financial planner.
Okay, I've actually never heard of the Financial Planning Institute.
The FBI.
Oh, okay, FPI, yes, but not. It's usually abbreviated.
Yes.
Okay.
I try to not use the jargon, because then we lose half of the of the people that we're trying to engage with.
Yeah. In our economy, and usually with lower household incomes, when you when you tell someone to possibly consult a financial advisor, there's this planted fear that financial advisors are only for the rich or for the well off. What do and you did mention it just slightly when you said how they are remunerated. But what would it actually cost the average person? I know there is commissions that they usually pay. Sometimes it's tied to the product. Sometimes it's consultation fees. Generally, how would one pay a financial advisor that they're consulting with?
Okay, so that is like asking how long is a piece of string, I suppose. No, so when you engage with a financial advisor, like I said, one of the questions that you need to ask is how are they incentivized? If the financial advisor is incentivized by way of commission, then you know that that commission is built into the product, and that commission is paid to the advisor via the product structure and via either taking a little bit of your fund value and paying over to the advisor, or by way of embedded commission structures within, for example, life cover policies, where the commission is paid to the advisor upfront and clawed back from you as the client over the term of the policy. But you almost never know this because it's built into the product. What I recommend, and this is what we do in our practice, my colleagues and I within Rich Ideas, is that we try as far as possible to charge a fee for service, because that way you are completely clear as to what the advice is costing you, and there are no nasty surprises. And the part of your question as to how much that would cost, it really depends on the particular financial planner that you're engaging with, and it would depend on how they designed their cost structure. So what we do is we charge either per hour for our time that we're going to be working and engaging with you, or we would charge per project. So for example, if you want full comprehensive financial planning, it would mean engaging with you a number of times, and it would mean gathering information, doing some research calculations, and then presenting you with a plan, a written plan. So that could be a project, and then depending on the complexity of that project, we will then charge you a certain rand value, or it could be a combination of the two. I think the important thing here is to realize that you can discuss the fee with your financial planner if it's a fee-based financial planner, and by all means, you could also, what's the word I'm looking for? You could not decide, but you could debate as to what a fair price would be. Negotiate. Sorry, man, that's the word I'm looking for. So you could negotiate a price in terms of what that financial plan should be. So it's pretty explicit when it's a fee-based financial planner. It's a bit hidden and it's a bit smoky when you deal with a financial planner who only makes money by commission.
And considering now that we're in the digital age, and the young minds are basically trying to do things themselves, and we saw this last year when COVID hit, and there was basically a retail investor boom and a sense of I can do this myself. I don't need an expert. Do you feel there's still a benefit of having a financial advisor or consulting with a financial advisor? Personally, I do. I still have a financial advisor. But in terms of the digital age, and I know there's some regulations coming in. I don't know if they've changed. When I was still an advisor, it was called, I forgot, it started with an R or something.
The RDR, Retail
yes.
Distribution Review.
Yes. Do you think, like, for the young investor or the young someone starting now, feeling that they can be independent and feeling the might of stocks putting money in the bank for them, do you think there's still benefit for them to have or consult a financial advisor?
Okay, so obviously my answer is going to be rather biased, but let me qualify my answer. So firstly, my answer is straight up yes. There's still a need for a financial advisor or financial planner. But why I say that is the more important bit. By all means, as a retail investor or as a retail client, you should do firstly your own research. So read up as much as possible and increase your knowledge as much as possible. An example of what is currently been happening, in fact, let me put it this way. Over the last few weeks, 100% of the clients that I've engaged with, new clients, have started their financial planning journey. And they've started it via, the app-based stockbroker. I'm not going to plug any companies at this stage, but you know who I'm referring to. So the low-cost app-based stockbroker, everybody has some account there. It's either a ZAR account, USD account, or both. Almost everybody has a tax-free savings account. Almost everybody has started putting money away for some sort of emergency fund. So 100% of the clients that I've engaged with have done all of that. So it begs the question then, what's the need for a financial advisor? The need for a financial advisor is that of those 100% of the clients that have embarked on this journey, 100% of them didn't have a strategy and a plan behind what it is that they were doing. So the guys would go onto the app and they would go on the Bluebird app and on the current app that we're using, and they would follow each other and they would follow recommendations, and some would do things out of FOMO, etc. But there was no real plan and strategy behind it. And that is where a financial planner adds the value. So in other words, the financial planner can help you with some of the calculations, navigate some of the laws and the technical aspects, navigate the tax aspects of things. And the financial planner, I suppose, is your accountability partner, because a financial planner would look at the plan with an independent and a fresh pair of eyes. So by all means, embark on the journey, but take the planner as your technical expert and take the planner as your accountability partner. So hopefully that answers the question as to why there's a need for a financial planner.
Yeah, it does. And I'll just let you know that I've been one of the biggest advocates for that. And I've actually disclosed multiple times that I do have a financial planner as well. Probably a biased approach from my side as well, because I came from that industry, and it was basically embedded in me, and I grew from there. Would you be able to take us through what the financial advice process looks like? So here comes Tom, and he says, you know what, Gav, I've just graduated, I got my first job, I want to get my life in order. What would the process basically look like for... I know it would differ per person depending on what life stage they're in.
Yep.
And can you just basically take us how you would navigate through someone approaching you seeking advice?
Okay, so the FBI, once again, or the Financial Planning Institute, recommends that one follows a 6-step process. And I'll go through the 6 steps now in a little bit more detail. However, I have seen some advisors literally working through this 6-step process in a sort of a tick box exercise, where the process says, for example, step number 1 is establishing and defining a professional relationship. Then the guys would sort of tick that off and say, I've now engaged with a client and I'm establishing a relationship. Whereas I'm of the opinion that, yes, you've got to look at these 6 steps and you've got to make sure that you cover them, but you've got to do it with what suits your personality and the client's personality, what suits your circumstances and the client's circumstances, and what suits the particular platform or medium that you use. So with every, as you said, with every client, it would be different. The journey would be different. And that's the beauty if you deal with a financial planner who's worth his or her salt, is that they will adapt their plan and their style of working to suit you, because ultimately it's about you, the client. It's not about the financial planner. And it should never be about the financial planner. It should always be about the client. So the 6 steps that one would follow is, as I said, step number 1 is you first establish that relationship, and whether that relationship is some financial planners are pretty fixed in how they do this. They keep it purely professional, and they wouldn't have a coffee or a drink with a client, whereas others sort of become friends with their clients. to me, it doesn't matter. It depends on what the two parties agree to in terms of building that relationship. But the important bit is that you've got to establish a relationship, and professional firstly anyway. So that's step number one. Step number two is you've got to gather the data, and you've got to establish what the client's goals are. Again, like I said, it's not about you as the advisor, it's about the client. So you can gather that data by way of getting the information through conversation, or you can gather the data by sending the client a form that the client needs to complete. Or what we do in our practice is we gather some of the data via our online chats that we have with clients. Because, by the way, within my practice, 99%, well, maybe that's an over-exaggeration, let's call it 98% of my dealings with the clients are in the virtual space. So we gather data that way, and then we also gather data by allowing the clients to capture some of the data into the software that we use. So to make the client part of the journey. So the client gets a link via an email from us. The client can go in and capture some of their data and also co-craft their plan. But that's step number two, to gather the data. And then step number three is to analyze the data and to evaluate the client's financial status. So here it's important, in years where it becomes technical, that you've got to analyze the data and make sure that you are doing right by the client with regards to tax, for example, that whatever you do doesn't put the client in a worse off position with regards to his or her tax liabilities. So you've got to take that into account. But quite basically also, when you evaluate the client's financial status, you've got to make sure that the plan that you're crafting is doable. It wouldn't help if you have these major goals that are not doable and not reachable, because then the whole plan falls flat anyway. But be that as it may, that's step number three, to analyze and evaluate the client's financial status. And then step number four is to effectively develop the plan and to present the plan and your recommendations to the client. Now, again, this can be in a number of formats. You find that some of the advisors think that, and here I'm sounding a bit judgmental, but I mean to, you find that some advisors think that it's a cool thing to come to a client with a 50-page thick report full of graphs and full of diagrams, etc., that looks impressive, that shows that you've now done an analysis for the client and you present the client with his financial plan. Now, it's fine and well if you have a client who is very analytical and enjoys that kind of thing, but the vast majority of clients don't. And the vast majority of clients simply won't read that report. And you've maybe just done it because of your own ego. So what I suggest is you engage with the advisor and say, look, give me a report that I will understand, and give me a report that is simple and easy to understand. And that's also why we in our practice use a particular piece of software that doesn't generate these multiple page reports, but give you sort of one pages that gives you a snapshot view of where you are at and where you're going. Because I think it's important that the client understands the journey and the client buys into the journey, because ultimately it's their journey and it's not yours. But that's step number four. Step number five is to implement that plan. And that implementation, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, the client can go and implement the plan however he or she sees fits. And the implementation doesn't have to be via the financial planner who has produced the plan. And that's where the industry is also differing. Whereas I would, for example, present you with a plan, and if you then buy into those recommendations, you can go to somebody else and say, listen, Gavin recommended that I purchase this and that product, and I'll do it. Whereas some other advisors would say, no, but you've got to purchase the product through them because they earn their money via the commission, whereas I would have earned my money on the fees that I charged you for presenting the plan. And then finally is the monitoring of the financial plan, and that monitoring could be, and hopefully it would be over long term, where you've now built the relationship with your advisor, and together the two of you, or the three of you, however many is in the family structure, will then monitor the plan over the years to come. So yeah, that's pretty much the 6-step process, but it doesn't have to be as rigid as I make it sound. It has to be adapted depending on how the practice is set up and depending on what the client's needs and wants are.
I've seen a lot of I'd say clients or people complain a lot about some products that they took with some institutions, and they basically complain that it wasn't suited for them.
Mm-hmm.
What recourse would a client have that feels they were ill-advised by a financial planner or financial advisor or product supplier, who feel that their needs were not met? Would they have any recourse in that aspect?
Yes, 100%. The client is protected all the way, provided that things were done above board and things were done according to regulations. Um, so yes, first port of call would be that the client needs to contact that advisor who has recommended or sold them that particular product and take up the issue with that advisor. If that does not produce a satisfactory outcome, then the next port of call would be to go to the internal ombudsman of that particular company, because all these financial services providers will have an internal ombudsman. Um, Failing that, if you don't get joy there, that is when you'll go external and you'll go to the ombudsman for the industry. So along the way, there are various ports of call in terms of recourse, and clients must know that they are the owner and the payer for that particular plan and product. So they have all the right to be happy with what they have purchased or what has been recommended to them, and they've all the right to go and seek the necessary recourse if they feel that they've been ill-advised.
Oh, perfect. So I've reached my end of my interrogation of you, Gav. And I'll be open to take questions from the audience. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot here. I think there are still some watching on YouTube, and I'll watch that if any questions do pop through. But yeah, for the guys on Telegram, if you do have any questions, you can raise your hand now, and I will give you the mic if you want to ask Gav. But just a disclaimer as well, he won't be able to provide you any specific financial advice right now. But you can ask questions around what we have spoken. Gav, if people do want financial advice from you, can they contact you?
Yeah, 100%. So the guys can contact me via any of the channels. So they can contact me via this channel, or they can contact me via Twitter, via my DMs, or just on Twitter in general. And then also, if you go onto my Twitter bio, there's a link there where you can set up an introductory meeting with me, which is free, gratis, and for nothing for the first half hour. So there are many ways to get hold of me. You can just search on any of the social media channels, and you'll find me.
Okay. Let me see if there's any questions. Okay. So there's a few of us here, so I'm gonna unmute everyone's mic. And if they have any questions, they can ask. And if they don't, then we can close the session. Any questions, guys? Kev, Lucky. Let me ask you an off-topic question, Gav. You said you enjoy your whiskey.
Yes.
What type of whiskey do you drink?
Cheers. So I'm not a snob in the sense that I will only drink whiskey that's peaty, or you know what that means, obviously, or I'll drink maybe only Irish or only Scottish whiskey or maybe only bourbon. I would drink what I enjoy, and in fact, it's not also determined by price. There's, for example, a particular single malt that I like that is, fairly inexpensive. And then there's another blended whiskey that I like that is pretty expensive. So it just depends on the actual taste of the whiskey. And of course, a good Japanese whiskey.
Oh,
Again, there's some nice Japanese whiskeys that I like, but there's I'm not brand conscious and I'm not price conscious, because very often price doesn't determine the actual taste and quality.
okay. So it seems we have no. Oh, we have a question. Yes, Kev.
I'm going to ask about dividends. I'm not sure if it's related to today's topic. I'm going to ask this.
Sorry, Kev. As long as it doesn't, it's not a personalized one. If it is a personalized question, I would advise that you contact Gav directly and probably set up an appointment. But you can shoot your question.
What happens when I sell shares on an ex-dividend date or on a record date? Do I still receive dividends?
Gav, does that border financial advice?
Yeah, it's sailing close to the wind there. In any case, I didn't even get the question that clearly, so I would suggest, Kev, just pop me a mail or something. I'll answer the question.
I have sent Gav's details in the channel, so you can just pop him a question, and I think he will give you financial advice for a fee.
But look at the question. It's like, what happens when I sell shares on ex-dividend date or on a record date? Do I still receive dividends on the dividends payment date?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Gav, are you sure?
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, but I think this is a bit of it's a loaded question, I think.
Okay, so I think what Kev is asking is if a person sells shares on a particular day, would the dividend payout still come out? Is that what I'm getting, Kev?
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to mention the company, Mara. Okay,
no, don't mention the company. But
yeah.
Okay. Suppose company X is about to pay dividends on a certain date. Then today was the last day to trade the shares. Then the ex dividend the date after the to trade the thing, it's tomorrow. Then the record date of those shares, it's Friday. So if I sell those shares on ex dividend date or on the record date, do I still receive the dividends date, let's say on Monday?
No, because you're not holding the shares anymore, are you?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, thanks,
Kev,
thanks.
so I will be having a session on tax tomorrow, and we will cover dividends. So I will see if I can pose that question of what happens actually. But obviously, your question doesn't seem like actual advice. But yeah, I'll try and find out for you offline.
Oh, okay, because I was also using Google because it was saying the same, but I wasn't sure. I wanted maybe somebody who have done it before. Yeah, okay, thanks, Jess.
Okay, no problem.
Sure.
Um, does anyone else have a shot at a question, or can we close? Gav, thank you so much for hosting this with me. I'm just hoping that sooner or later Twitter can sort their mess out and we can have more viewership there. But it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you and helping some people understand how the industry basically works.
No, it was my pleasure. For our first chat, it wasn't too bad, despite the the technical challenges and despite Twitter Spaces letting us down. But yeah, it would be great if you could then post the recording for those who couldn't jump over onto the new platform.
Most definitely. Would you be open to joining more spaces? I do see you join other people's spaces, but you never request to speak. You're a bit of a lurker.
I'm a stalker.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
assume you're checking. Yeah.
Remember, I'm the 52-year-old engaging with you under 30-year-olds. So I stay in the background. I stay in my lane.
Yeah, but we see you, so don't think you go unnoticed. We do see you. But yeah, on that note, thank you so much, Gav. I am really looking forward to all your teachings that you will give us on the space on Twitter. And I think it's a very good thing to have a diverse group of people engaging, regardless of age, location, and gender, and so forth. So it is nice to have you, actually, the 52-year-old, just looking at us making a mess, buying stocks, and blowing up without a plan.
Yeah, the old people must give you guidance. No, but it's an absolute pleasure to have engaged with you, and yeah, I quite love engaging with everybody on the various platforms, and long may it continue. Eh?
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. So on that note, thank you guys. I will send out the recording as soon as it's done. It will automatically save on YouTube, so you will catch that. And I'll see how far I recorded on my phone in terms of the ones we had on Twitter Spaces. Unfortunately, the errors didn't make those recordings quite nice as the YouTube one. But on that note, guys, I'm going back to Twitter. If you have any more questions, you can send Gavin a message. I have sent his details on the chat. If you want to approach him, by all means, you can. He has opened himself for you. And if you do want to ask me any questions which are not related to any form of financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor anymore, you can ask me those questions. And bye, guys. See you on the other side.
Cheers, cheers, everybody.
Okay, that's done. 1 hour 25 minutes. What? Yeah. Well. Feeling good. I'm feeling good. I've got so many notifications.